Asaf. Hello,
Hello.
Chris. Hello, Chris. We know you're out there listening. Chris is traveling with the family today. So, Chris, wherever you are, or maybe you're back already, but we know you're listening. So, send us a message. And hello to all our friends out there all around the world who are interested in the wisdom of Kabbalah, who are interested in what the wisdom of Kabbalah has to say about this incredible, historic, adventurous time that we are in. We called our show The Great Transition. As we talk about this transition, also the Kabbalists call this time that we're the last generation living a corporeal life, and the first generation to transition, still living a life in this world, but also to develop life in the spiritual world simultaneously. We're going through a really special time of transformation. Many operations are taking place in our inner lives, and we're not really aware of it. We feel things, but for example, if you were allergic to a food and you felt really crappy and you didn't know that it was because you were allergic to a food and you just ate that food every day for dinner and you just always felt crappy, you just have no way yet to kind of name what's going on and how to deal with it. Another clear example, better example for us here, because we're talking about our development. There's nothing wrong with any of us. We're in a process of development. So, baby could become the most perfect human ever. A baby starts at some point to feel cold and feel heat, but doesn't have any words, any language, say, I'm cold or I'm hot. So maybe the baby could let out a cry or something, or maybe it's not enough for a cry, but the baby has no language for the things that the baby is feeling. Or the baby gets hungry, but it's not just hungry for a vegetable. Maybe it wants a cracker. I don't know, maybe because the tooth is hurting, it's teething and needs something stronger to scratch the gum or something. But without the language to understand the feelings, you're stuck at the beginning of this process of development, and there's all kinds of what seems like suffering or bad states. So we're now in a lot of these suffering states or bad states. In our generation, though, are you talking us off? I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I mean, when you say suffering, you mean as a species, as a
As
humanity,
a,
as a society,
each and
as a
every person, and also as a species.
right.
Unless there's somebody out there who has no suffering in their life, so let us know. We want to know about that. But I think that nature has a way of advancing all of us beyond just being animals. So anyway, let's get back to our story. So in our generation, it's very unique, as we were saying. It's a very special time. The wisdom of Kabbalah was prepared for us. Maybe it was like a nice stew. You cook a stew for a long time, so it gets like real soft and all the flavors. And it waited until we developed, until we had these feelings, the special kind of feelings we're having now. Because if we just had our monkey feelings, there's not much to work with there. But now we have all of these nuanced, different feelings, and we have language from science and from our modern world and all these different broken pieces and all kinds of people. We have a language now that we can really understand more of the nuances of these feelings. So we take the wisdom, instead of having to develop it all from scratch, the wisdom of Kabbalah comes from the end of the game and brings us that language to start putting on top of all of these feelings and all this process of development we're going through. It takes it's called actually the language of roots and branches, from spiritual world to our world. So it takes a really unique perspective and a new kind of perception to understand reality, to understand the higher dimension. And someone who doesn't know what's going on or what you're talking about, they think, what are you predicting the future? Are you some kind of mystic? You're predicting the
Fortune
future?
telling Kabbalists.
Yeah,
These fortune telling
you
Kabbalists.
yeah, these couple weirdos with beards on Thursday, they have some power that they're telling you about? No, not at all. There are things that if you see them, you may think that, for example, in your personal life, something happens today or yesterday, and you're like, I'm in a bad situation. This is bad. Or you could even say, like, curled up in your bed, saying, like, it can't get worse than this. I've been there in my life. Probably most people have had those moments where it's like, this is horrible and it can't get worse. Or we could look at the world. You asked before, are you talking personally, or are you talking, well, you asked, are you talking globally? Look at the world. We say this world is headed for destruction. I can't see any way that all of these different religions and all these different groups of people are going to be able to stop escalating this conflict. They're going to be able to get along. And we have climate problems compounding. Soon we're not going to have food. So what is unique, what the unique perspective of the Kabbalists, and the Kabbalist says, for example, bless for the bad as well as for the good. It's not some kind of
Oh man, you
calm
you
down.
went with a that's a difficult
It's not.
a
No, it's
difficult
really easy.
formula
Actually,
to get your head
I'm going to
around.
show you a
Yeah.
video. I'm
Okay.
going to show you a very short video. It's
All
going to
right.
make it really, going to wrap it all up. When you so bad and good have something to do with our current perspective
Right.
in this world. This world.
Yes.
The unique perspective of the Kabbalist is above time and space. In spirituality, the perspective is not the same as this world. In this world, everything occurs on a timeline. On a timeline, there's a beginning, and there's a middle, and there's an end. And I encourage everybody here to think about anything in your life. There's some time connected to it. Anything you could think of, a thought, a desire, a trip, a work, a child, everything exists in this world on some time. And not only that, at the beginning, before the beginning, there could even be some preparation before the beginning, but everything happens on some time. I'm going to show you something, an awesome video I saw this week. It's a little bit old, but if you saw this, you'd be totally frightened if you saw it at the beginning or the middle. But if you saw when it's done, you think it was the most cute thing you've ever seen in your life. So if you are seeing reality in one snapshot, it could be very frightening. And there may be certain things you have to do at that time, and maybe that's why the emotions are coming. Okay, let's look at it first so you know what I'm talking
Show
about.
it.
Okay, relax. Okay, can you see this window here from the BBC?
Yeah. Let me just wait a second. Let me see if we can. Yeah. Here we
You see
go.
that?
Now
Okay,
we.
watch this. Watch this.
The human
Yeah.
face finally all comes together. We've taken data from scans of a developing embryo, so we are able to show you for the very first time how our faces don't
I mean, if you saw, God forbid, your child looked like that, you would be
Like a
nervous,
puzzle.
right?
the three main
Well,
sections of
if
the puzzle
if all
meet in
kids
the
look
middle
like
of your
that, then
top
no.
left, creating the groove
If
all
that
kids don't
is
look like
your
that.
filter.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
This whole
Yeah.
Okay.
the bits coming together to
So if you were
Right.
to see the baby's face, and all of that happens, by the way, between like 2 and 3 months. If
Right.
it doesn't happen between 2 and 3 months, it doesn't happen at all. So there is some system that if you understand the process, you wouldn't be frightened if you saw that.
Yeah.
But if some doctor came and showed you that picture and said, Saf, here's your baby, he'd be like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's a
Yeah, or if
serious
you like,
situation.
okay, here's where we're at right now, and we don't know where it's going. It's like,
So,
yeah,
what article does Bala Salam say we can only understand why things are the way they are at the end of their development?
right.
Is it Peace in the World?
No, I think that one is maybe it's in the piece, some of it, but you're talking about the fruit analogy, right? Like the ripening fruit. I think
I'm
that's
not sure.
I think it's teaching of Kabbalah in its essence. Anyway,
So,
one of them.
okay,
Yeah.
he gives this in the process of the development of humanity. If you saw, so let's, instead of going into another example, let's just explain it. If you saw the process of humanity developing, if you don't know where it's going, and that's specifically the picture that the Kabbalists give you, where it's going, And then it starts to tell you all of the steps backwards. Then you could be very frightened by what's going on. And this is what it means, kind of the blessing for the good as well as blessing for the bad, because from our perspective, it seems like bad. But if we rise up, or when we change our perspective, we understand blessing for the good, blessing for the bad means that working with both forces that are moving reality forward.
And yet, easier said than done. We have to say that. I mean, it's sometimes it's difficult. You know, even when you know, that everything is part of a process, and the process is leading to a higher, better, more advanced state.
You say that it's hold on. You say that it's hard. It should be easy, though. It should be easy if all the music that's around us and all of the environment around us, if all of our social media that we were checking all day long was pushing us towards this connected future where through that connection we perceive this other reality. If every day we opened up Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I'm not going to say that I check Facebook. I'm not that old. You know, if you check whatever social media and it was all the time just influencing us towards a good reality, then it could happen very quickly. It doesn't have to take long.
Yeah. We have a way to get there. Okay, let's go there then. Let's talk about it. Our title today is the TikTok algorithms and our spiritual future. So, okay, so we wanted to talk about this for a while, actually, right? But I think that what triggered this is that recently more and more leaders and scientists are seeing from different perspectives that TikTok is a big issue. TikTok is a big issue. It's not just another app that people, spend their time there mindlessly. It's much worse than that. And so for anyone who's been living under a rock in terms of social media, TikTok has over 1 billion users. It took over the world very, very fast. It's the most used social media site of all time. And today it's at the point where even 4 and 5-year-olds spend on average 80 minutes a day on it. Just imagine like a 4-year. I mean, think about our childhood for a second, right? Before social media was even, before a smartphone was even a thing, right? And now think about the 4, 5, or 5-year-olds spending 80 minutes a day scrolling TikTok. Oh boy. Anyway, so TikTok, there's a bunch of tangents to get into, but I'll get into one just very quickly, and then we'll go to the more meat and potato of what we really want to talk about. So TikTok comes from a company called ByteDance, which is Chinese. It originates in China, and that company started pretty much about a decade ago, which is more or less the same time when the CCP, the government there, marked AI as top priority for China. Now, China, again, this is a quick tangent. This is not a show about China, and we're not experts in that, but we do have a friend who knows it better. Let's just leave it at that. China uses AI. Uses AI extensively for years now, and it's building it up, the usage of AI, in order to track, manage, and govern its 1.4 or so billion people. There's street cameras with facial recognition technology that quickly put face to a name, like instantly. There's a social credit system where people actually get a score, and that makes all of these technologies that China uses basically allow them to not just respond to social unrest or social events, but predict where there's going to be a social problem and anticipate it, predict it, and take care of it in advance. Plus, China's stated goal is to be a world leader in AI by 2030. So China is very big on AI, probably much more advanced than we in the West think.
Now,
In any
one
case,
thing you didn't
Yeah.
say that also is they can easily steer public opinion.
sure, with that, yeah, and TikTok is a big part of it. I mean, social media is a big part of it. But yeah, so that's China. Let's put it aside for a second. But TikTok is an app that comes from China, and it taps into our, I would say, biopsychosocial nature. It is very deeply influential on our biological mechanisms, how our brains are wired, and our psychosocial influences that in terms of how we judge ourselves with respect to ourselves and how society sees us. And TikTok taps into all of that. And the way TikTok works, again, I'm speaking as if no one knows it, but I'm assuming everyone knows it. It's just a matter of degree, whether you're addicted to it, used it a little bit, or barely used it. But you know that the big thing with TikTok is that this company, ByteDance, really created the most addictive thing possible. They really created the most addictive user interface and user experience with that is centered on short videos. And those short videos, they started from just 3 seconds to 15 seconds. Then after a year or 2 years, TikTok made the limit 1 minute, then 3 minutes. Today you can even post 10 minutes, but no one really, not many people use it. In any case, that's what it really is based on. These very short videos, vertical scroll, it captures the entire screen, so you got no place to run. And the thing that happens is, it's as simple as that. You get a dopamine hit, and you want it again. And because, so you keep scrolling. And just like in Vegas, in a slot machine.
How does it give you a dopamine hit?
Because you saw something that catches your attention, that pleases your senses, that excites you, that thrills you, that gives you a certain kind of moment of dopamine hit, in that it awakens the pleasure centers in your brain. In other words, we call it a dopamine hit. And
It's like what McDonald's did with the hamburger. They did with your.
yeah,
Like they
but
figured out the exact amount of fat to salt to crunch.
that's
to
food
chew.
engineering. That's food engineering to just make you make it really, really tasty and please you, please your palate and so on. But here, what we're talking about is a little bit different, because here what happens is you start scrolling the app, and then something catches your attention. You like what you saw. Whatever it is, it could be something visual, it could be something intellectual, maybe even, but something caught your interest, and you get a little dopamine hit. And what happens is the user interface is designed in such a way where it's so easy to quickly scroll through dozens and hundreds of just beginnings of videos. So you can quickly go through, oh, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. Oh, here is the one. That's nice. I'm going to watch that one to the end. Okay, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. That behavior is something that psychologists call random reinforcement, right? Well, you're looking for that thing that will excite you. You're looking for that dopamine hit, but it doesn't happen in each video. And it's designed that way. Just like in Vegas, the slot machines don't let you win all the time. The slot machines let you win some and lose some. And so every time you lose, you keep doing it again because you want to win.
You're almost winning sometimes too.
Exactly. That is what's called to keep you scrolling. And the algorithms are aware of that, so to speak. The algorithms account for that.
So hold on. So altruistic people have designed this in order to help humanity?
Right. You're right.
What's behind all this?
Oh man, we can go into
the end, and I was just seeing it at the beginning or the middle. This seems very scary.
but it's scary because it really is. I mean, look, all social media works that way. Facebook, YouTube included. It's just that TikTok is the best and therefore the worst. It's the best at creating this hamster wheel experience. Essentially, they designed a very addictive experience to put you in a hamster wheel and just keep scrolling. When you scroll, you're literally turning the hamster wheel. That's what you're doing. That's what's happening. And so it's again, most addictive user interface and user experience. Now, research is now showing that this is obviously neurologically damaging. Now, I'm saying obviously, but it's not that obvious. This research is just coming out in the last 2-3 years, and gradually more and more information is piling up about just how much it damages your brain. So obviously it lowers your attention span because you get used to quickly scrolling if something doesn't keep your attention for 2 seconds. Basically 3 seconds or less. That's pretty much the number. So if something is not interesting for you within 3 seconds, bye, next one, until you get that dopamine hit again. And so it lowers your attention span, and worse than that, yeah.
Okay. So one of the main points we learned at the beginning of studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, like one of the biggest axioms of the whole thing, is that we are a desire, and we want to get as much pleasure as possible for the least amount of effort.
Exactly, and it works. They figured it out too. You see, you don't need to be a Kabbalist to understand.
So what's the problem?
To understand human nature. The problem is that when you design such an experience whose purpose is to maximize your attention, to just get you running the hamster wheel, scrolling up, same thing. When you do that, the damage to your brain is becoming apparent.
It's like, when you have an itch and it feels good to scratch it, and you just keep scratching it until you wear away all the skin.
Yeah. That's a good example. Check this out. TikTok is bad for your brain. Constant social media streaming narrows collective attention span and adversely affects mental health. Let me say a word about mental health, because it's worse than just okay, so people are becoming addicted. It's much worse than that. The fact that behavior that you're getting used to, it's not just lowering reducing your attention span. It actually damages the same area in the brain. You can see it. This is a research specifically on that. It actually damages the area in the brain that is responsible for self-control. So you come out of TikTok. Let's say you spent an hour, you went on TikTok and you were like scrolling, and then you go out to life and you are more prone to get pissed at someone at work or your wife or your kids. You have less self-control because you are numbing that ability in your brain. It also damages your decision-making processes along the same line. These, by the way, self-control, attention span, decision-making, all these going down, that exactly increases the likelihood of depression and other mental illness. TikTok creates the perfect breeding ground for mental illness, and the algorithm is pushing these videos exactly to those people who are vulnerable to it. So if you're a depressive person already, the algorithm will identify that and will push more depressive content. If you are an anxious person, then the algorithm will push more anxiety-inducing videos.
I'm waiting for the good part of the story.
I think it's important to understand where it's at first. I do think it's important.
It sounds very, very bad. It sounds like
It's not just bad; it's bad in a specific way, and that's what's important here to understand. I don't think we should just gloss over it. I think it's really
so what is
important.
The specific? So
you have
you're saying that
what? Sorry, say
you're
it again.
You're hitting the app is able to constantly hit all of these dopamine releases for a person. So when they leave the app,
yeah, but so when they leave the app, they're left damaged essentially. That it leaves damages. It leaves you with lower attention span, damages your self-control, increases the likelihood of depression, harms your decision-making processes, and this is only now getting more and more scientific recognition. The thing is that these algorithms guide you to this behavior. They don't just try to keep your attention. The app creates algorithm loops that reinforce the same kind of mindless behavior on TikTok. That it reinforces that in your life as well. And then you have also this issue of the mimicking phenomenon that you see in subcultures in TikTok. So people are like mimicking each other, and they just copy paste and do the same thing.
Because of that, you now could really, like, or whoever is controlling this thing, you could put a new word into the language. You could make a new dance move, and children in every city in the world could do it. You could take a song and make a song that the whole world would sing tomorrow.
Bro, there's a story, something from the last 2 years, where again, it's the TikTok subcultures thing, right? So what do we mean by subcultures? There's billions of videos, right? The algorithm, once it identifies that you're interested in something, it serves you more of that. It's gradually pulling you into a rabbit hole. So and this could get very problematic and very dangerous. So there's a story, for instance, of TikTok-induced tics. What do I mean? So if you're interested in Tourette's syndrome, and for some reason you're interested in that, and you start watching some TikTok videos on that, the algorithm directs you to watch more of that, and you reach all kinds of corners of TikTok that you didn't even know existed, because everything works there according to that For You algorithm, right? You just scroll. You don't. People barely use like the search there, and it's more about.
You're in a rest with an endless stomach, and someone keeps bringing you all of the things that you like more and more.
So people developed tics. They were perfectly healthy, and they developed tics from watching TikTok, from watching Tourette's related people who actually have tics on TikTok. They just watched it, and the way that the user experience is built, and how their body started mimicking that, and they actually developed symptoms.
But I'm excited a little bit. The more you explain it, I'm excited, because I now want to load this stupid app with. I wish I was so much smarter. You could load everybody with goodness.
Right, that's where we want to get. But I think it's really important to understand the power that we are discovering here. I'm saying discovering because you can go into a whole conspiratorial mode about how this comes from China, and China has an interest in maybe stupefying the population of the West, and you can go there. We can go into that kind of thing, and probably a big some of it is probably true. We can go into how TikTok in the West and TikTok in China are two different things completely. We'll talk about it later maybe, but the point is that I think that no one, even the most nefarious agendas and interests behind this. I don't think people completely anticipated what is happening. This is engendering behavior on a completely new level. The way the algorithm is built, it's also another thing that's very different from Facebook and YouTube, right? It's very easy to go viral on TikTok if you play by the rules of the algorithm. If you get quickly, you capture the engagement, the attention of people within the first 3 seconds, and you make them watch the whole thing and so on, the algorithm rewards you. And it doesn't matter if you have no followers to begin with, if you have no authority. It's not like on YouTube where there's channels build their kind of subscriber base and authority and so on. And on TikTok, you can
Whoever's
easily
on fire today. They're
yes,
the top.
and they can get easily thousands of views. Now, put children in that situation. Put youth and children in that situation all of a sudden. Now you start seeing how the algorithm directs their behavior. What they want to do is they start cloud chasing, right? They start chasing fame and followers, and they see that it's doable. They see they can do it. And what's the easiest way to go viral in such on TikTok in
Punch someone
3
in the face
seconds?
or take your clothes off.
Exactly. And that's why provocative sex moves, dance moves, sexy dance moves, I mean, it's pretty much the same, right? It is really what, I don't know, I'm exaggerating here, but 90% of TikTok is just that. You just have, and it's mostly underage girls that are just, with skimpy clothing, just, now, and the funniest thing is, if you say that, to any person from the West, then it's like, okay, so you guys are prudes, okay, this is, we're in the 21st century. Let people do it. It's not about prudence. This is about balance. This has gone completely extreme. This TikTok has become, you can go and look at some of the research. TikTok, because of this problem, becomes kind of a market for pedophiles. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems that comes from this. The bottom line in this regard is just that TikTok has tremendous power, especially over Gen Z, especially over the people who are younger, and they don't stand a chance. They have no chance of doing anything about it. Also,
I know
yeah.
you so I'm not on TikTok, but I did see a clip that Joe Rogan did about the terms and conditions of
right.
TikTok. So
right.
the phone, once you put it on your phone, it follows every
how do they know
keystroke.
exactly? How do the algorithms and hugely sophisticated AI? How does it know to serve you what will make you more addicted? How does it know so well to give you exactly what you're most vulnerable to, what you're most susceptible to? Because it's in the terms of use. This is open for everybody to see. They collect information about the messages you send in other apps, all the other apps you use, the sites you visit, the search history, your keystrokes, how your voice sounds, your fingerprints, location data. They can use all that information to predict your future behavior. And that's exactly, so essentially this app knows you and understands your urges and impulses better than you understand yourself. Now put a 15-year-old or a 12-year-old, well, in front of that, he doesn't stand a chance. And by the way, all that information, ByteDance, which is again a Chinese company, is required by law to share with the government. So, that's kind of another tangent. Anyway, so yeah, that's our show for today. That's
Good luck and see you next time.
Good luck with that. No, I think I came from I had a conversation with my son about social media, and I saw how important it is, just social media literacy. Seriously, it's so important to just explain that and talk about that with young with young people who are, just getting exposed to these devices, and they need to know what they're getting into to some degree. It's insane when you think about it and think about what's actually happening. So what's how do we get out of this? Where is this going, you ask? Yeah. What's the value of talking about that?
Well, I got a lot of ideas from it. It's, if I think you confirmed that the people who invented it are not altruists trying to bring love to all of humanity. So I guess that's the biggest problem with the whole thing.
There is something exciting here, Seth. There is something exciting, Kabbalistically exciting, I would say, spiritually exciting, in all this madness.
It's basically like the baby face at 2 months old. That's the current state of TikTok.
We are creating,
like, all twisted and seems not right.
I put it like this: we are building the tool for shaping human thought and behavior en masse. We did not have that. We did not have that. There's something called school, or the public education system, which is supposed to like bring up a person, but it's mostly just to teach them how to be workers. That's pretty much why the public education system was created. This tool, what's happening now with these algorithms that study you and directs your behavior, this is an infrastructure for what could actually be a global spiritual revolution if we use it in a completely different direction. So, but it's being built right now. So I see it like...
So the Chinese state surveillance system will be the infrastructure for the new spiritual revolution.
In a way, not directly that. It doesn't. I'm not saying okay, let's just take TikTok and switch. But I'm saying yes, the motives that we have today that run the world. Okay, so just like in the past, the pursuit of money and power made empires go to other countries and create roads and create transportation systems so they can get more resources from other places, right? The pursuit of money made the Wright brothers invention a global thing, and now there's aviation in the world and we can travel. I'm coming to your place in a few weeks. That would not have been possible, right? So all of that egoistic pursuits made the world inevitably more interconnected and more like a global village, essentially. What's happening now with TikTok is the infrastructure for a revolution of the human mind, thought, heart, behavior, emotion. That's what we're creating without even being aware of it. And I don't think that anyone in the CCP has that in mind, but that is what's happening from a Kabbalistic perspective. There's this quote that says, the wicked prepares it and the righteous will wear it. So essentially, the human ego prepares the infrastructure, and the human that evolves above the ego will be able to use it in a productive, positive way. That's what I would say from a human evolution perspective. Here's you with me? You're did I okay. Here's here's something Ali, my wife, told me a couple of days ago, which to me made a connection to this. She went with the kids to a museum 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. She also went today, but it's to a different place. It was like either a museum or an art expo, something of that sort, in Tel Aviv, I think. Anyway, by the way, the first thing they went to was a cage. You go into a huge cage, human size, and that's the first thing that you get into when you go into the museum. So what happens is
Wow.
you go in there, and basically the people who are getting in after you, you are the first thing they see. So all of a sudden, you become
You in a cage.
You're in a cage. Yeah, you in a cage becomes the first thing that the other people see, and that's what you see as well when you see other people who were in the cage before you, and that kind of gives the experience of what it means like to feel like an animal in a zoo or something like that. You kind of get that experience. Anyway, that's
Other
just
people looking at you.
yeah, exactly. You get the feeling of wow, that's how people look at animals in the zoo, kind of thing, and you kind of feel that as a person. So she was able, and there were many other cool things there, and she was able to have many interesting conversations with them. Now, as a mother, she after each such exhibit, after each such experience, she would ask them questions, get them to reflect, get them to think. What do you think? How did this feel like? And they come up with ideas. Yeah, but if I'm an animal, then maybe I don't feel like that. There's interesting conversation. And she told me about it, and I'm like, this is like the mother algorithm. That is completely opposite to the TikTok algorithm. So like the TikTok algorithm, its goal is to hijack your brain, make you addicted as quickly as possible, dumber, shorten your attention span, make you narcissistic, keep you in a loop chasing dopamine, reduce your self-control, and harm your ability to postpone pleasures. The mother algorithm, the mother algorithm is always thinking, how can I bring up the child? How can I make them smarter, more capable, more competent, more reflective, more conscious, more aware, more sensitive? How can I make them think, make them be better? How can I make them, make them the best version of themselves? Now, if you took the mom algorithm and just applied it to TikTok, we'd have a whole different society. You know what I mean? Like
So quickly too.
yeah. So that gives you a sense of what we're building right now.
There's
Yeah.
there's a theory. It's called Conjure the Monkey. It's called Tipping Point or something like that. I'll show you.
Right. Right.
This could be a good time to show you.
Yeah.
Check this out. If I could find the post, which I can. Check this out. This one.
Okay.
87% of Saudi men privately said they supported women working. They said that privately. But 70% thought that other men were less supportive.
Wait. So first of all, this is Saudi Arabia where it's a different norms, right? The
different norm. So around
Okay.
women working.
Okay.
So most men privately said they supported it. Publicly, they said they don't support it. But when found out that most men did support it,
Yeah.
then men supporting their wives working went up. So basically, they were
Oh, that's
building
interesting. That's cool.
really interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So their views are built not by something even in reality objective, but just about what other people think.
Right.
So there's
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so they didn't even need to fix anything in society itself. They didn't need to fix any laws. They didn't need to fix, they didn't need to fight against
We,
anybody.
it's
All they
so
needed to
funny.
do was show everyone that everyone else
Wow.
says it was okay. And
Yes.
then the whole behavior of the women changed, the
Right.
behavior of the men changed, the behavior of how they thought about their neighbors. I don't want to say I think it's okay that my wife works if my neighbor is going to think that I'm doing something that's against. So you imagine how compressed, right? We talked about the timeline before. Okay, I need to
Right.
overthrow the Saudi government. Then I need to educate the women. Or maybe I have to educate the women first. Then I need to overthrow the Saudi government. Then I need, or it's a very long and convoluted and difficult and expensive process.
Right.
Or somehow
Yes,
through,
yes, yes. We are tapping into, this is what's happening. That's a great example. It's a brilliant example. We are tapping into the social nature of our being, which is far stronger and more hidden than we think. You know what I mean? Like the human is not a human. We are not individual humans. There is no such thing as an individual human. We are a network. And everything that's happening to every person is dependent on all the other nodes in the network, and especially those closer to you. And closer doesn't have to be geographically related. It could be closer in terms of, it depends on what the issue is. Closer in terms of your nationality or your religion, or like in the Saudi Arabia case, your who you are in relation to society, men in Saudi Arabian society. So we are creatures that we are networked creatures. And with what's
nice.
happening with TikTok, when I look at when you, can you imagine a picture of like hundreds, thousands, dozens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of videos, TikTok videos, of people just doing like a stupid dance, right? This is a reality right now. This is a reality. You have millions of
Millions.
millions. There's millions. There's literally millions. And what's interesting is, again, and this is unique to TikTok, that someone starts a move with a certain music, and the app allows you to reuse that music and do your own kind of version of the move, right? And then someone does it, and someone copy pastes it, and copy pastes it, and copy pastes it, and you have a ripple effect of human beings
it's like
doing
the starlings. It's
which
like
is
each
just like
time
the
it's like a
starlings
whole-
moving, or the bees. You know, the bees have a thing in specific areas in the
Yeah.
world. There's a certain kind of bees where they do a wave, like a stadium wave. So that's what's happening. We've created an infrastructure that allows you to transmit a wave through human society, and it's not just a dance move. What's
Well, let's say like this.
It's
Let's say like this from the
norms,
wisdom of
it's ideas. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say from the wisdom of Kabbalah. In the wisdom of Kabbalah, we talk about these 5 worlds, or 4 worlds, okay? Spiritual worlds. What the word world and the word concealment is the same world. It's the network exists already between all of these, but as it comes down into our world, we're kind of before our very eyes, through clay, through like protein and stuff, we're building the network to kind of show us that it's kind of like throwing powder on an invisible man, or like, spray painting an invisible man. The structure is there
Right.
already.
Yeah, we're
And then
revealing
through-
it. It's like with the those
We're
laser
revealing it and
the laser
making
beams
it-
in the
Yeah.
yeah.
But not only just to see it, but to actually discover it in our feelings each time. That's the whole game right there, everyone. The network exists. In our world, it's been concealed, and we're discovering it, but not discovering it just from our intellectual, like I threw powder on the invisible man and then I see him, or on the alarm lasers, but that we are building, it's already built, but it feels to us that we are building this structure until we all arrive at the structure that already exists there. And while we see TikTok, and while we see the climate, and while we see the other problems, this goes back to my intro, That's like seeing the baby's face at 2 months. We don't see yet
Yes.
the process of what we're
we
building.
we are observing from a Kabbalistic perspective. We are observing all those states of the embryo developing. We're just living through them, and the initial states is just those very dangerous, even polluting, addictive kinds of uses of the network between us. But it's the same network. And just gradually it takes on a positive shape, a shape where we actually can transmit and circulate love through the network, and positivity through the network, and good intentions towards each other through the network. It's just that.
And what's the
Yeah.
value? What's the value of saying, oh, is it just a game to say, okay, well, now we are, okay, fine, I got the concept. Humanity is a baby, an embryo that's developing to be born into the spiritual world.
No, I
Why
think
do I need to now?
I would say it's a very serious and pragmatic issue. If I understand that the situation, the state of the world, and the way we use social media, TikTok as a case in point, right? If we understand that this is just an initial rudimentary, negative, dangerous state that we have to evolve from, then we can start advancing that next stage of development. That means, look, I see it like this. It's like the world, not just TikTok, but everything we're doing right now. Global economy, global politics, how we are in connection between countries and nations, and also inside societies, all of that. The world is like this construction site for the future world. And as a construction site, it's messy, it's dangerous, it's not habitable. It's not habitable, that's the point. Yet, it needs to be built. And at the moment, if we understand that the current world we're in is a construction site for the future world, then we shouldn't try to perpetuate it. And we shouldn't be trying to make a life in this construction site. It's not even the goal. You know what I mean? It's not like so I'm not interested.
Question.
Back to your question.
So
the point is that if you see it like that, then I think that you will be much less influenced by TikTok or anything else. You will be much less susceptible to its negative influence, because you see where it's at, you understand where it's going, and you can step out of it and not participate to the full extent like everyone else does.
I'm asking
and start building the future.
Angle. Okay. So my point is, why does it have to be in the first place? And just in general. Okay, so we're in the second month of the 9 months of development or something. So the point is, though, that specifically from going through the feelings, that's the go to the blessing for the bad and blessing for the good. Going through the feelings of encountering TikTok, of encountering all of these things in social media, separating seeing what it is, what's happening. I want to be involved in it. Sorting the sparks, separate what I can use.
I see what you want to point out. Yeah, we're making new discernments. We are learning who we are, what should we be doing with our time, with our skills, with our life.
This is how
we're discovering
ourselves.
Yeah. So a big point, a big aspect of our discovery as human beings through TikTok is just how malleable is our thought, feelings, behavior, and how important it is what kind of influence we submit ourselves to. What kind of connection because what's TikTok? Essentially, it's a platform that connects people, yes, but it connects them in a very specific way based on a specific algorithm. And so we are learning through that experience that, this kind of connection makes us degenerate. and it lowers our attention span, and it makes us more narcissistic.
And without criticizing anyone, it's important for us to be able to sort these things, to go through these discernments and understand where am I in all of this.
And like you said, welcome the bad as you welcome the as much as the good. Essentially, it's welcoming these negative states of development because they build the good states of development. And if they're part of the good, then they're no longer even bad. And if we actually change our attitude to that, we might not need to stay in them for so long. We could advance.
That's the whole Saudi example. The whole Saudi example is you shrink time.
Yes, nice.
You don't have to overthrow the government and buy weapons and go fight with your neighbor. You can shrink time if you get the
To be a little just so people don't think we're naive here, right? It is interesting from this point of view that you brought up of how humanity is advancing in recognizing who we are, what we are, and where we're headed, and how we want to evolve, right? And that's the purpose of these states. It's interesting, this state of affairs between the West and the East, or specifically China and the US, let's say, or it is interesting because when it comes to TikTok, TikTok in China works completely differently, meaning they understand, they very well understand. First of all, let me just throw a few details in there, right? So there is no TikTok in China. It's a Chinese company, intertwined and required by law to cooperate with the CCP, the Chinese government, because that's how it works there. And there is no TikTok in China. There is a parallel app that you cannot access unless you are physically in China. It's called Douyin. That's the Chinese version of TikTok. It's so different.
A good citizen.
Yeah, it's so exactly, and it's so different that you can't interact. If you're on Douyin and I'm on TikTok in the other side of the world, we cannot interact. So TikTok is a product that comes from China only for the rest of the world. For China itself, there's a different product. In that product, videos that are seen as degenerate are actively removed. Doesn't exist on TikTok. The algorithm promotes.
And the police show up at that person's door also.
Right. Yeah. Well, of course. Yeah. There's a section there called positive energy or something like that, which promotes the Communist Party's goals and values. But it is interesting in the sense that the algorithm there promotes positive videos of hardworking people who share their accomplishments and academic accomplishments, athletic accomplishments, science projects, life skills. There's a youth mode in that app, in the Chinese version of TikTok, which means that if you're under 14, at 10 p.m. you cannot use the app. And it limits you to 40 minutes a day, even before 10 p.m. So what am I... now, of course, this is, the Communist Party there is promoting its agenda and so on. But it's very interesting that you have a country that needs to manage almost 1.5 billion people, and they're very, very aware of that power.
It's a good case study just to see how the app is used for two different populations.
Yes, but also I think it says something about what the West understands or doesn't understand versus what the Chinese understand. It's interesting that things we consider in the West, like free choice and democracy and freedom and all kinds of ideals of liberalism and freedom. So, from a Chinese perspective, these are not related to freedom. They're like, if you don't take care of your population, they're basically saying, we want to take care of our population. We want them to be smart, successful, competent, capable. We don't want to reduce their attention span. We don't want them to watch degenerate videos. We want to bring up the population, and in the West, we would say, you're trying to educate me instead of just letting me do what I want to do, which is scrolling mindlessly and becoming dumber. So it's an interesting. I'm just pointing out that if you look at the zoom out, I'm not saying this is good and this is bad or something like that. This is the state of the world. Humanity is a single society, and it has different parts in it that are going through different scrutinies. And it's if you zoom out and look at human evolution, there's a lot going on right now from the perspective of consciousness. Yeah.
When
and back to the baby, yes.
First the organs, then the limbs.
Right.
And it leaves the limbs, it goes back to the heart, and then it goes to the brain. And so we see the same thing happening as humanity is going through this great transition from our corporeal lives towards our...
Let me say one thing, because I saw something in the chat now that we have to wrap. I'm gonna take just one thing just to answer this thing, and maybe you'll throw in a word about this as well. So ABC is asking, and I think it's maybe your first time here or not, or something close to that. You're asking, so is China Kabbalistic? So let me just make it clear. We're not saying China is not Kabbalistic, neither the West, and Kabbalah is not promoting not communism and not capitalism, and all of those things are earthly, corporeal definitions and modes of behavior and modes of governance that are like stages before that more advanced stage of human society that Kabbalah talks about. Kabbalah talks about a state of an integral society where we all operate based on a new, expanded, elevated perception that we are all pieces of a single global organism together with the rest of nature. That means that this kind of perception, this kind of new consciousness will create something completely and totally different in terms of education, governance, economics, and everything else that we can't even imagine right now. So here we're just pointing out that, hey, look at what's happening here, look at what's happening in China, look at what's happening in the West. We're just observing and surveying the state of the world from like zooming out of it on it. So anyway, I don't know. Can you add something to that? You want to maybe? No,
I think we made a lot of people can get super confused, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. So you got a song for us?
We'll see you next Thursday. Yeah, we'll see you next Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. We're reading all your messages in the chat. If we're not reading them during the show, we get to them after the show. So let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time.
Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. See you then. Bye-bye. Give us some volume. All right.
Friends, we ain't got no time for wasting. Wake up, rise and shine the light of love. Wake up, been told the times that we can't hasten. Wake up, let's connect our hearts to beat as one. Up and raise them higher. Wake up, in gratitude for what's to come. Wake up, and feel the friends burning desire. Wake up, right up to the altitude of love. Wake up, we got to find a new way to love. We're calling out together. Trying to fix our way. Please help us change our nature. We want to live in love and unity. We're calling out together. trying to fix our way. Help us change our nature. We wanna live in love and unity.